Hello guys and welcome to the Spurs related podcast. And today guys, we've got a very special guest with us. We've got the Euro expert and we're going to be talking about Christian Romero, his heavy links with Tottenham, and of course we're going to analyse him as a player first of all, and then later on in this video we're going to be talking about obviously the big news this morning, Harry Kane unfortunately not turning up to training. Big shock to a lot of people, maybe not a shock to some people, but obviously it's disheartened a lot of fans on social media. So we're going to be discussing a lot about that. So welcome on in, Alex, Euro expert. Make sure you check him out in the description below, all his links. And yeah, welcome on in, Alex. Pleasure to have you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be on. Thank you very much. I'm excited to talk about not only the Spurs transfers, but also, the Kane drama, which has been very entertaining in some ways. Probably not for you guys, but for other people.
Exactly that. Yes, it's been a very disheartening morning, but what can we expect? We knew that Harry Kane wanted to leave, but of course, him not turning up to training has disheartened a lot of people. But to start with, I'm going to introduce the rest of the guys first of all. So we've got Michael, all the way from South Africa. We've also got Finn, Spurs related as well, and Alessia and Jin, the founders of Spurs related, alongside us today. And like I said, guys, we're going to be talking about two topics: Romero, first of all, and obviously being very close to agreeing a fee for Romero. And of course, Kane will come later on. But of course, we've got our Euro analysis with us. So what better way to start than talk about Romero? And Alex, in general, what are your thoughts on Romero? How is he going to help Tottenham? Talk us through it. Talk us through his positives and negatives.
Well, I think a lot of Spurs fans might have seen me talk about Romero on the Matt Hayes channel. And since then, my opinion's got even rosier. I think Romero to Tottenham is going to be really fun, just purely because of the player he is. For anyone who's even watched just a few highlights of him, or even games a bit like myself, it's so funny just because I think a great example in one game was Rodrigo Palacio, the Bologna forward in Serie A. He's nutmegged Romero in the game, and for a brief second you're thinking he's done him there. Romero charges back, shoulder barges him about 10 feet, and Palacio gets off claiming for a free kick, and there's none. You just get that every single time he's on the pitch. He's so fun to watch. I don't think I've seen such a physical player before, like such a physical defender who likes throwing his weight about. So him coming to Spurs on that aspect, it's fun. But also, you've got everything else about the fact that he's Serie A Defender of the Year. He's also very good at winning the ball and intercepting the ball, and especially turning back and recovering the ball as well if he's beaten by it. I mean, there's just a few things how he might adapt, but yeah, the signs are really, really good.
So what you're saying there, Alex, is he's very prone to a yellow card. He's very likely to get stuck in, potentially be like, that Argentinian like vibe of Lamela, Lascelles. They both like yellow cards, of course. And in terms of we've missed out on having Lamela's yellow cards now, maybe we're going to get even more yellow cards with Romero. What are your expectations with that?
I think that's a good way to think about it. Actually, one out, another in. One red card out, another red card in. No, yeah, I think Romero's a little more level-headed with it. I think whereas Lemmer, I think he was a bit more bitey, a bit more attitude. Romero uses his weight really to his advantage. Like, it's very hard to get him off the ball or keep the ball when he's coming straight at you. But it's a good thing to mention the bookings for anyone who doesn't know. He was getting booked, I think, once every 2 games, which is the average, which is that's very crazy for any player, let alone a defender. I mean, more like that should be a midfielder, let alone a defender. But still, it would be. I don't expect too many red cards. I don't actually think he got as many as you think. It was more just picking up yellows. Sometimes, Mickey Fauci doesn't need to as much, but he's a lot more controlled than you think. It's just his play style in itself is quite charging out of the back, trying to win the ball back. He's encouraged to do so. Maybe that will take a bit of honing in at Spurs, but yeah.
Great stuff. And in terms of like one yellow every 2 games, that is ridiculous stats, as we know. In terms of more of the formation, the tactics, what can we expect if we get Romero? Of course, knowing Spurs, this might not even happen, this deal. But let's just say, for argument's sake, it is going to go over the line. What are you expecting in terms of Tottenham's formations under Nuno?
It's a good question because See, when I've put out a video about this recently on my TikTok and Twitter, and I expect Romero coming in, I would expect Tottenham to go to a back three. But so far, as you guys could probably tell me, and the guys in the comments could probably tell me, that you guys have been playing a back four.
Right.
And it's not to say that Romero can't fit into a back four. He has done so at times. He did so for Argentina at Copa America. But I think he needs a bit of adapting. As I said, at Atalanta, his current club, he's played the majority of the time in a back three. And his job is literally to rush out of defence and win the ball back. A bit like David Luiz at Chelsea under Conte. And to make a further example, I think to the fans who are thinking Nuno's clearly going to play a back four, I will say, well, if you remember Conte, the last person to really, I think Conte and Nuno are both famed for their back three. When Conte first came to the Prem, he really stuck with the back four, even in pre-season training for Chelsea in the first few games, all to remember. Then just that switch flicked. It went to the back three. And I think maybe Nuno has got plans for that. It's just, I think he's the identity of him, and one of the worries I'm sure you guys had as well when he came in was, oh my God, it's that boring Wolves manager. And he's probably just trying to alleviate some of that identity.
Spot on. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. I think we could see a back four very quickly move to a back three, depending on whether we would sign Romero. Do you find it a surprise, Alex? And I know it's not a Romero question, like particularly driven, but do you see it a strange move to get rid of Toby Alderweireld, considering he was, one of our starting centre backs for a lot of the season last year? Do you think that has any implication on the situation?
That's a good question, actually. I think it does. Important thing to ask, because the one thing Romero hasn't really shown so much is, maybe it's just a part of his system he's in, but he's never been so much of a strong passer like Alderweireld was. Pretty sure if you compare their pass into the final third, which is, as it sounds, moving the ball into the final third of the pitch, Alderweireld quite easily trumps Romero. So getting rid of Alderweireld, it's leaving you a little, I don't know. I think Alderweireld's easily Tottenham's best ball-playing centre-back, so is leaving you a little limited in your defensive duo for moving the ball forward and playing vertically. So it might mean that the passing could be a little more sideways from those two. But I'm sure if you can progress the ball through your wingers and your fullbacks and your central midfielders. I mean, we saw Højbjerg at the Euros. My God, he turned into Xavi there. Might not be too much of an issue, but. Yeah, that's an interesting point to bring up. If I was Paratici, I might not have so hastily got rid of Alderweireld, but I do understand it.
Right, with you. Let's get some of the others involved here, guys. Great stuff, Alex. I'm sure we'll come back to you. I'll give you a little breather for a minute. We'll go over to Alessia and Jin. Alessia and Jin, how are you feeling about the Romero links? Do you think it will be a great signing? And what do you think the positives and negatives will be of signing Romero?
I'm pretty excited actually for Romero. Highly regarded in Italy. Last year he was Serie A's best defender. He was voted as the best defender as well. So for Spurs, for him actually wanting to go to Spurs is a massive thing for us, and I think he'll change our defense dramatically. I think he'll be like a Diaz or a Van Dijk. That's what I'm hoping, to transform our defense, and hopefully it'll transpire throughout the team and make the team pick up their form again and be the Spurs that we know from the Pochettino era. Obviously, the negatives would be, will he be able to cope in the Premier League? Stuff like that. Or will he be able to play in a Nuno system? Or just things like that, like those doubts. But at the end of the day, he might turn out to be amazing and just fit straight in, and that's all I've got to say, really. Just those. I think he's going to be a really good defender, and I think he can be vital to changing our defense. And I really hope the deal goes through. But yeah, Jin, have you got anything to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, like your expert said, he's getting yellow cards. He's quite a physical defender. It's not bad getting yellow cards. It means that like strikers against you, you can scare strikers. They don't want to dribble past you. You're like a brick wall. That's what I hope. I hope he brings to the team. I hope he scares off strikers, because the past few years, our defenders have been falling like flies in the box. You've seen crosses come in. Players like Dyer, Sanchez, they don't put their bodies on the line, and I hope Romero brings that to the team.
Absolutely. Spot on, guys. I'm going to go over to Finn quickly because he seemed to get a bit irate about the whole talk about our former centre-backs there. So, Finn, what are you expecting Romero is going to give us more differently?
Man, Dye's still here, man.
Of course, he's still here, but in terms, he's not going to be near that starting lineup. I'm telling you now, Finn, if we get Romero. So, in terms of the improvements, what are you expecting that's going to be very different?
Yeah, you know, Romero's, how tall is he? 6'1". He's a big physical lad, so I'm hoping he can, you know, a bit like Jin said, big, solid brick wall. I'm hoping he can bring that to the side. But yeah, obviously, I think Alex touched on, you know, losing Alderweireld, you know, that ping he had and passing range. I think, you know, that comes at a cost, and I think what we gain from Romero is, you know, his speed, his strength, I think there's a lot to gain from it. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, 100%. It all seems like positive moves for now. Michael, I'm going to come over to you. Apologies, you've been quiet for the opening 11 minutes, but we're going to come over to you now. So, Michael, in terms of obviously the current situation and Romero on the verge of joining, what are the few things that you're really looking forward to?
I'm excited seeing a solid defense for once, hopefully, if we get him, because we all know how it's gone in the last couple seasons. But I'm really excited for him to join because, I mean, to be voted the best defender in Serie A is no mean feat. That's a great defensive league. And yeah, just coming off winning the Copa America for him as well. For him to want to join Spurs, that says a lot about us, actually. So really excited to see that. But I do agree that losing Alderweireld's passing ability could be an issue, but we'll see what happens with new signings that happen after Romero.
Yeah, exactly that. And many sources have said, like, you know, Romero wants to push through the deal with the Atlanta board. He's visited the board and says he wants to push that through himself. So I think that's a big statement in itself in terms of Spurs is obviously being seen as an ambitious club by him over Atlanta. And I mean, Atlanta are doing very well in Serie A in the last couple of years. You know, been in the Champions League. So essentially that's obviously a positive for us, even though we finished 7th last year, and he wants to try and push through to a Premier League club like Tottenham is great stuff for us. And, you know, that is obviously a positive with all the negatives that are going around this week. But we're going to go back over to our expert now, Alex. Talk us through when you expect us to see that 3 at the back if he does join. And also explain for those that may not know where he will play in the system. So, i.e., left centre back. Just talk us through that, please.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think if Nuno is to deploy a back 3, I think it will be. I think he's going to stick with his back 4 that he's been playing in pre-season, but it'll change things when it starts to dip, I guess. I expect with a new manager, there's going to be a bit of a bounce with Tottenham. I haven't read your fixture list, but I can't imagine you're going to be dropping like flies over the first 10 games. But I reckon it will be after the first quarter of the season, you might start to mix things up tactically. I mean, you know, even managers like Pep Guardiola will do these things just to keep things fresh, right? And if he was to play a back 3, Romero will be in the centre of that back 3. Well, at least as he was at Atalanta. I guess it depends on what Nuno likes to do. At Atalanta, Romero is almost like a hybrid CDM centre-back, like rushing out and making challenges. Maybe Nuno will want in his back 3 someone like Conor Kodu who's a bit more reserved, a bit more rangy of his passing. Maybe Romero could move on to the right centre-back role because he's right-footed, and he could move there and maybe rush out a bit more. I think he's very comfortable on the wings as well, so playing a right centre-back could allow him to move into the wing at right-back and cover there. So I think it depends how Nuno wants to play. If he wants to play very aggressively, I think Romero is perfect for the central role, but if he wants to still dominate and play a bit more slowly, Romero could be the right centre-back role.
So what you're saying is you think either the centre-back or right centre-back, potentially depending on the game or depending on where it's going to suit him based on a matter of time as to, you know, how he's playing, where he is.
That's a good point. I guess it could depend on the game, but with Nuno, we haven't really seen much evidence of him, you know, really putting pressure on the opposition. If there's a game like that, or a situation like that, maybe Spurs are losing in the second half or something, Romero could move into the back middle of the back 3 and help instigate a press. But I think generally, I guess, thinking about it right now, I think maybe he'd move. He's probably going to be more likely to play in the right centre-back role. So he can rush out a bit more, maybe leave Spurs less exposed. Because there's one thing at Atalanta, I will say as well, maybe slight, not a weakness, but something to take measure of. He was very good at charging out of defence, but when he wasn't winning the ball, he'd have to turn back and recover it. And a lot of time he did that, but in the Premier League, I feel like you get punished for it a little bit more than in Serie A. So he might not be able to get away with it as much. Whereas if you're a bit more to the wing, if he's rushing out to the wing, he can get away with it a bit easier.
Absolutely. Very well rounded up. And in terms of if he does play right centre-back, which is what you think, do you think we'll continue to pursue Tomiyasu from Bologna? And do you think that deal will go through, considering he has Serie A experience as well? Do you think that's relevant? Do you think that link will then help Romero transition into the Premier League better? Or do you think that's sort of irrelevant? He'll either be with Doherty or talk us through that.
I think the Tomiyasu one, I think it's the rumours have gone quiet from what I've seen recently. I know that really heated up just before Romero deal, right? A month ago or something. Maybe that was Spurs' secret signing they carried on banging on about. But I think with Tomiyasu, the good thing about him is that he can play all across the defence. Like he's I think most players are like 80 to 90% right-footed, and by that I mean that's how often that's a proportion of their touches they use with each foot. And I think Tomiyasu was closer to 60%, which shows he's very comfortable on both feet, and it's shown that he was covering on both left back, right back, and centre back. So I think he would, if he was to come with Romero, I'm trying to think how they would play together. He could probably slot into the back. I guess the thing with Tomiyasu is it's harder than Romero, because Romero, when he's on the pitch, I think you'll be able to clearly see what Spurs will be trying to do. If he's in the centre of a back three, you'll know Spurs are trying to be aggressive. Whereas Tomiyasu is so versatile, I think Spurs can flip-flop during the game and say, okay, Tomiyasu, you can move to right back now. We want to go to a back four, or you can drop into the back three. He's that comfortable. So I think he's more about versatility, I'd say.
So you think Tomiyasu could play a right centre-back role very comfortably? That's the kind of player he is. He could play right back, right wing back, right centre-back, or are you sort of saying it depends on the Romero situation?
I think he could play any position across that back five, which I know might feel a bit of a cop-out, but generally, if Romero came in, I could easily see Romero right centre-back and Tomiyasu left centre-back. I guess wing back is where, I don't know, if you're playing at a wing back, it's like, I'm trying to remember, was it Tanganga against Chelsea or Man City when it was right wing back, and it was like, oh my God, what's going on? But yeah, I think Tomiyasu might be a bit more limited at wing back, but generally could play in the centre, left centre-back, right centre-back, or in a back four in the middle, or right back, left back. He's that versatile. So I don't think it will impact Romero's position too much, and vice versa.
Right, I didn't actually realise he was that versatile. I didn't realise it was a case of he could play anywhere in the defence. So I think that will surprise a lot of people. I think that's great news to hear. And of course, like you said, it has gone a bit quiet, but maybe the Romero ones have obviously taken a bit of a, primary source rather than the Tomiyasu rumours, which obviously go under the carpet a little bit. But great stuff. Anything else we haven't sort of covered about Romero, sort of for the followers? What do you think they mainly need to know? Say it gets announced tomorrow, say it gets announced next week, whenever it may be, if it does happen. What do you think the key sort of points are to take away from this deal?
Well, I feel like we've mentioned quite a lot of it. There is one thing I don't think I said the other couple of times I've covered it, which I mean, it might not interest your fans. Well, it will interest your fans, but maybe might not like me as much. Just remember I'm a messenger. Right. There was a very detailed interview with him. I think it was on Gazzetta dello Sport that I read when I was doing a bit more research on him, and he's very enthusiastic about playing Champions League football. So I think him coming. Spurs will need to make sure they're hitting those heights, or at least coming close to those heights over the next couple or 3 years. Otherwise, I don't think it'd be out of the realms of possibility for him to look again to move on. I think the weird thing here is, well, not weird, but it is a big statement that he's dropping, in a sense, from Atalanta's Champions League football to Tottenham. But so maybe, it's not the complete forefront of his mind, but from what I've read, I think that is a big career goal of his. So
we still got UCL.
Huh?
We still got UCL.
That's a very good point. It's a very, very, very good point. But yeah, that's just maybe something to consider, you guess. I mean, you're already getting the Kane haunting nightmares off of it, but just something to consider about Romero there.
So do you not think Romero will be absolutely buzzing to win the Europa League conference?
I'm sure he'd be happy if you won it, because that'll put you. Well, if you're winning the conference, that'll put you up to the Europa League. That's a step closer.
Is anyone buzzing about the Conference League at all? Anyone?
Hey, I'm excited for it. I can't wait to see some of European minnows get their limelight for once.
Yeah, I'm excited for Tallinn and HJK Helsinki. Can't wait to watch them. Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Great stuff. Well, you're an expert. It's been an absolute pleasure in terms of talking about Romero. I think we've ticked all the boxes and covered in that 20 minutes what the fans will probably want to hear about him, or essentially, his key aspects, his key prime highlights. So that's absolutely great. Thank you for going through that. We're going to switch subject now to the Harry Kane saga. Obviously, today, you've got to be living under a rock to not have seen that he didn't turn up to training today, which is an absolute nightmare, of course. One that's shocked many people, one that's, essentially not been such a shock to some people. Harry Kane, a couple of months ago, it was announced he wanted to leave. It was very public. Most credible journalists, followed it up. Sky Sports broke it, but then, it was completely confirmed by the likes of Alistair Gold, Fabrizio Romano. So it was no secret that Harry Kane sort of wanted to leave Tottenham. But obviously it's been disheartening. I've seen a lot of backlash on social media today in terms of, people saying, what a snake Harry Kane is for not turning up to training. And apparently it's followed up with Harry Kane getting fined by the club. So absolute madness at Tottenham today, but in some respects sort of expected. Now, we're going to go over to some of the other people in the stream. So, guys, who wants to start? Who wants to... I'll leave the ball in anyone's court. Who wants to start in terms of, are you surprised that Harry Kane didn't turn up to training, and what comes next?
Yeah, I'm very surprised.
You're surprised? Why? Talk us through.
Well, he's the type of player who's always been a thorough professional. Since he made his England debut, it wasn't even a full match that he played for England. Came on as a sub. He wasn't captain, obviously. Since an interview after that match, he's been talking like the England captain. He's the most professional player you'll ever see. For him to do something like this, even if he wants to leave, is genuinely surprising. It's not a surprise that he would want to leave, obviously, but to go about it in this way is surprising.
But if you compare it to sort of the Eriksen saga, obviously a couple of years ago, and in terms of him pushing through the transfer to go to Inter Milan, and he basically said, he didn't turn up to training. He said he wanted to leave very publicly. He wanted to progress his career. And even when he got to Inter Milan, there was a few little digs about, wanting to get on with his career and win a trophy. And that he did. But in terms of Kane, I understand what you're saying about professionalism, but do you not think that is a sign, what happened with Eriksen, to not being so surprised this has happened? Because you have to combat Levy some way. Levy is clearly being stubborn about it. Levy is clearly digging his heels in the ground and not letting Kane go unless Man City offer a ridiculous fee. And obviously Harry Kane said, no, I'm not having that. I don't want to play at the moment. I don't want to play for Tottenham anymore. I want to move on. And clearly that is the case. I don't think that's the secret. So in that sense, Michael, do you think it's a case of, fair enough, Kane, you got to do what you got to do, or are you still very surprised and a bit disappointed?
I'm still surprised and disappointed, because even if he wants to force a move through, he can have private conversations. He can go and speak to Levy. He can speak to Nuno. He can speak to Paratici. He doesn't have to, make a statement publicly. Well, it's not public, like he's not on said it, but he's done essentially the same thing by not showing up to training. And that's just something that's completely out of character of him from what I've seen.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I completely see a lot of people's frustration, but I've seen people on social media today, literally saying, no one's bigger than the club. Agreed, 100% agree with that. But like the extent to how people are saying it, like, he's an effing snake, he's a disgrace. Why isn't he turning up? Show some respect. We're talking about our best player for 25 years plus. I mean, obviously you've got a Gareth Bale, Luka Modric in the showing for that, but we're literally talking about a club legend that will always be a club legend no matter if he leaves this transfer window, next transfer window, in 2 years' time. Harry Kane is a legend no matter what. Over 200 goals for Tottenham Hotspur. And we've got people disrespecting him on social media. I think they need to take a little look at themselves in that respect. I don't know who agrees with me on that one, but
I agree.
if you're disappointed, that's one thing, but showing aggression towards what's happened is ridiculous in my opinion. And it just, people need to have a look and think like, he doesn't deserve to be getting disrespect. Yes, he probably shouldn't have not shown up for training. Maybe there is other ways he could have done it, but we also don't know what's going on behind the scenes. That's got to be said. We don't know if Levy is being so stubborn. He's not listening to Kane. He's not, going with what he wants. And at the end of the day, if a player doesn't want to play for a club, we're just going to have what Eriksen did a couple of years ago. He's going to put in half-hearted performances. He's going to be walking around the pitch, not putting any effort in. I don't know if you remember when Eriksen wanted to leave. His performances were a complete disgrace. Like, he just didn't want to be there. So do we really want that with Kane? Do we really want to spoil what's been a fantastic era for Kane? I don't think so. But I'll hand over to Alessia and Jin now. In terms of basically what we're saying here about Kane, are you guys disheartened? Did you expect what's happened with the Eriksen thing very similar, or did you, were you actually like these people on social media absolutely fuming about this and think it's an absolute disgrace?
I was in shock, to be honest with you. When I saw the news, I was like, no, this can't be real. And then Alistair Gold and Fabrizio Romano, they came out, and I was like, yeah, this has happened. And I was like, I lost a bit of respect for Kane. I was like, there's no way Kane would do something like this. I see him as a professional athlete, like proper professional. And I was just like, there's no way. But yeah, like you said, like, it's similar to Eriksen. But what happened with Eriksen was Mourinho and everyone was saying Eriksen was still playing well. But obviously, we didn't see it on the pitch. But I still believe from what Mourinho and others were saying with Eriksen that he was still putting effort in. Obviously, we'll see what happens with Kane, because I think he will put effort in. But obviously, now that he's done the training, and he's not actually done the training, he's left the training, and it's just not. I was just in shock. I've lost for words, I can't even speak. But yeah, what else was I going to say? Grealish even went in today, and he's more strongly linked to Man City than Kane. And with Grealish, he went to Aston Villa. He's a boyhood fan of Aston Villa and still showed respect. So I don't know. I don't see why Kane wouldn't do the same. But obviously, Levy is a different type of person to deal with, and obviously it seems that they had a gentleman's agreement a year ago that Kane could leave this summer, from what Fabrizio said. But it looks like Levy and everyone wants to keep him. He has a 3-year contract, and I don't blame Levy, to be honest with you. But yeah.
In terms of this gentleman agreement, what do you make of that, Alessio? What do you think is the case with that? Because obviously that's new news today to all of us. But when they said gentleman's agreement, do you think that now Kane is expected to leave based on this? I mean, we don't know much about it other than what it's called, and obviously relating to Kane being able to leave. But do you think that a gentleman's agreement is enough for a player to leave, or do you think it's a bit woolly? We're pulling on strings here.
Yeah, the gentleman's agreement is. I think it might have been, I don't know, made up, but it's something. I don't know, the media are using for Kane to have a reason to leave. But obviously, there must be things behind the scene. Kane, I don't blame him though for doing what he does, because he's been at Spurs for a very long time and he hasn't won anything, and that's what his goal is. He wants to win, and I don't blame him if he actually goes and achieves. So I want him to go and achieve, but I want him to achieve at Spurs as well. I think it will be even more sweeter if he actually achieves at Spurs. We'll see what happens. But Jin, do you have anything you want to say about?
Well, yeah, I was gonna. Yeah, it's weird that Kane's not turning up. Like you said about Grealish, he's more strongly linked, and he turned up for training. And like what James said as well, he's a legend of their club. He's been there for so many years, done so much for them. But at least he's turning up for training. And Kane's done a lot for us, but I don't know. why it's not turned up for chain. We just have to see in the future, in the next week. Like loads of sources have been saying that the next week or two is going to be the decider for a lot of transfers for us. So we've got to see.
Do you guys not think is a bit of a concern that obviously you think about it in another retrospect that, you know, you've literally got £55 million links with Romero, right? £55 million. We've already signed Brian Hill, £30 million, right? That's £85 million if just those two. Well, one of them has gone through, but if Romero goes through, right, we're talking nearly £100 million. Do you guys realistically think that Levy has like spendable money after that PR video that came out? Do you genuinely think that 100 million's come out of his wallet and not come from somewhere else? Do you think, in that sense, Kane is already gone? I'll go over to Michael or Finn. Or even Alex. Alex, feel free to obviously chip in more what you think about the Kane thing as well.
I mean, before you guys continue, I've just been reading up on a bit, actually. Just on, because you guys have been comparing it to Eriksen. It reminds me of something different. It reminds me of Van Persie to United. But Van Persie was a lot smarter on how he left. When he went, he was failing to agree personal terms of, he rejected an Arsenal contract with a year left, and he moved for 20 million quid. Kane signed a 6-year contract with no release clause and no clauses of any kind, and he's kind of stuck in it. So maybe that's just something else for you guys to think about.
So I've actually got a comment from Abdullah here. He said he's a dumb who signed 6-year contract without a release clause, at least. And essentially what you're saying here, I mean, Abdullah, I'm not too sure if you're a Tottenham fan or not, my friend, but welcome into the stream anyway. And essentially what you're saying is what Alex is saying here. I mean, Kane is clearly signed a 6-year deal. When was it now? A couple of years ago, right? Yeah. And, you know, that news broke that he was staying till 2024, 2025. And like he's stuck in it now. He has no release clause. And I guess Levy's flexing that and playing the game of, I'm not letting you go unless either the right offer comes or, you know, essentially to be able to pay out the Kane fee. I mean,
the reports are today with Grealish. You know, obviously the strong links of him, Manchester City. The reports are from a lot of sources now that that 100 million is actually a secret release clause in Grealish's contract that he signed not long ago. So he's perfectly engineered it. He's got the idea of, well, if I leave Villa, it's because this has been paid, so he can leave cleanly and keep the relationship with the fans. As you guys are quite rightly disappointed, Kane is having to tarnish that to some extent to get what he wants. When if he had got a clause in, then I'm sure you guys would be complaining a lot less about it.
Exactly that. Like, he's having to tarnish his reputation today. That will be damaged for a lot of people by handing in his, you know, not turning up to training to, you know, his essentially, you know, club he loves, breathes, supports, you know, all of this. It's very disappointing. We're going to go through some of the comments now because we have had quite a few comments going through, some related to Kane and some not. So I do like to interact. And guys, if you're still watching this live stream, do send us in the comments and we'll get some of them up. But let's go out from Mr. J. Welcome on, Mr. J. Hope you're doing well. 120 million plus Laporte, nothing else. No Sterling, no Silva, no Jesus, only Laporte. I guess that's a good point. The only thing that would concern me is in terms of obviously our attack, getting rid of Kane. Who do we get instead? That's a whole new kettle of fish. You know, what do we do when we get rid of Kane? Like, who are we signing, guys?
There's 120 mil there to spend.
Yeah, so exactly that. It's all very well having that cash on the side for Mr. Levy, but as we know, he doesn't like parting with his cash.
Can't replace Kane. You simply can't. Like, you know what he does for the team, like the assists, how he provides for the team, how he, you know, is top number 9, and you know he has that side to his game as well. So it's going to be, you know, literally impossible. Like,
you can replace the output he brings, but not with one player.
Exactly.
No,
He's like, he covers 2 roles, so you know it's more than one player.
We've got Abdullah in again. He's saying Torre Martinez. Now, he was actually linked with Arsenal earlier on last week, which is an interesting one. Maybe if Kane goes, we're going to have a fight to sign Torre Martinez with Arsenal. That would be an entertaining one for sure. I don't know how progressed that deal is. We've got a Euro expert over here. Maybe he knows how close Torre Martinez is to Arsenal. I haven't been keeping up with that one.
He says it's been an inquiry, but the interesting thing about Martinez is the reports I've read, they're not Fabrizio Romano levels, but Inter are quite open to selling Martinez because they would prefer to keep Lukaku, and the prices would start around 50 to 60 million pounds. So it's definitely open. I'm not sure of Martinez's ambitions, but I don't think a move is there for a Champions League club. So I think a Tottenham or an Arsenal could sneak in to get him.
Brilliant to hear. Hopefully so. But at the end of the day, hopefully we keep Kane. But we're soon to see. So go on. Go on.
I don't know if any of you have seen the words of Graham Roberts on Twitter, but basically he was suggesting that Harry Kane was having COVID test today, and it's a bit strange that a club legend like Graham Roberts would back it so much that Kane was having COVID tests. And yeah, just bringing to like the whole contract situation, the whole 6-year deal that he signed. I just don't see how this story adds up from Fabrizio Romano and Astorgold. I don't see how it all adds up.
So what do you think, Vin? Do you think that the COVID test is complete rubbish? Why do you think Graham Roberts, a club legend, has jumped in?
I'm actually buying into it a bit because for me, I'm going to wait until tomorrow and see if Kane turns up tomorrow. I mean, I'm sure everyone else is as well, but I'm kind of buying into what Graham Roberts is saying.
Do you think though, if imagine you're Harry Kane and you're saying that you had these COVID tests and you've gone on your phone and every publication has said you've not turned up to training, do you not think you would put out a statement and said, I'm actually having COVID tests. I'm turning up to training tomorrow.
Absolutely spot on. Yeah, you got to think, or you think of something like that. Whether it's his agent coming out and saying, actually, there was a reason for it. It's quite convenient. No one has commented, other than the journalist saying he didn't turn up to training.
There's not a comment, and he's just, it's a bit. Maybe it's just all nonsense. Like maybe there's no need to comment on it.
Not only that, though, if maybe the reason he was having COVID test, say it's why he didn't turn up to training today. Maybe the reason he didn't dismiss that is because he does actually want to leave that badly that it's not even a bad thing for him if the media thinks he didn't turn up for training. Well, at least on his own reason, yeah.
Yeah, it could be a mix of the truth and the false.
There's tons of outcomes that could come from this.
I know they're credible sources like Fabrizio Romano, but it's a bit of a yes. He didn't put out a statement, but we'll see.
So do you guys think Kane will turn up to training tomorrow?
I think he will.
You think he will?
I'm not sure.
I wouldn't put my neck out there and say if he does or doesn't.
No, it's so uncertain right now with that whole situation. There's no way to tell really.
Blimey. Who knows what's going to happen, guys? Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? Let's get some new comments up. Mr. J again. Vlahovic, Isaac, maybe push for Lukaku. I don't think the Lukaku one would ever happen. I think Inter Milan are very keen on keeping Lukaku out of any of their players. I'm pretty sure I saw something where they're quite happy to take bids for Martinez, and obviously Hakimi's already gone, but I can't see Lukaku going. Vlahovic, I know Finn is actually a big fan of Vlahovic. I'm sure he could tell you a bit about him. We'll give him a minute in a minute, but Isaac, obviously, he caught a few eyes in the Euros. Didn't actually score, I believe, but he did look very good. Looked like a very good player, good at dribbling. Actually, quite a tall player. So potentially could be, again, we're not going to be able to replace Harry Kane, but could potentially be a good, fit for Spurs. Vlahovic, I can't personally say I know a huge amount about, other than he's the Fiorentina striker. Finn, you can probably tell us more about him.
Yeah, he's very young. He's a big, tall target man. I see him as, or not so much a target man, but he's a very good poacher, sort of. How tall? He's 21. He's a big man, big lad, and his output's insane. Like it's incredible in Serie A for that age. How many goals did he score in Serie A? About 20 in about how many games the whole season. So his output's incredible for his age, and I'm sure he'd be a top player for the future. But
great stuff.
Maybe he doesn't live. You can't replace Kane, but it's the closest you can get, I think.
Absolutely. He's definitely an option. Let's get another comment up. Why should we sell Kane at market price to City with that oil money? Now you're asking a whole different question. Now, Honestly, in terms of how much I think Kane should go for, I think we should be quite stubborn about the asking price. I don't think just because Kane essentially is, I don't want to say it, but essentially he's throwing his toys out the pram over the move. Potentially, we shouldn't just pander to their lower offer. We should keep being stubborn, and we have the best man for that in Daniel Levy. They offer us £100 million. Nope, we're still not letting Kane. He can grumble all he wants. He can not turn up to training, but I'm not being funny. £120 million, bid again. Oh no, we want 140. Personally speaking, I don't think we should let him go for under 140. I don't know what you guys are thinking in your head,
Absolutely.
but I don't think we should be accepting this 100 million plus Laporte or 120 million pound on its own. Harry Kane's worth more than that. If you're comparing prices, Gareth Bale, who was Tottenham's best player, one of the best players in the world, in 2013 went for 85 million pounds. That was 8 years ago. We should not be letting Harry Kane, arguably the best striker in the world, go for anything under than 140 million pound based on that, equation, whatever you want to call it. We should not let him go for that 100 million pound mark. And if we do, I think that's nothing short of a disgrace. And I don't know what anyone else thinks on that one, but
I agree.
certainly one to obviously be discussed in a later video. Unless it's jackpot money, I don't see why we should sell him this year. Exactly. I don't think if he's going to do an Eriksen all year, so be it. But I think Kane's a bit better than that. I think Kane has that professionalism, like Michael said. I think he will stay, and I think he will stick loyal to whenever it is he goes. Maybe he wants to move, but it doesn't mean he can't still play for Tottenham at a high level at all. Or maybe sign duo strikers like Vlahovic, Weghorst, or Isaac and Weghorst. Potentially, we're going back to
is a good shout. Weghorst is a very good shout. I don't know because he's so just as a profile of him, he's 6'6", striker for Wolfsburg. He was also one of the best strikers in the Bundesliga last season. I believe he got around 20 goals. He's not as young as an Isaac or a Vlahovic. I think he's 26 or 27. But I think that plays in your favour. I think if Kane leaves, you don't really want to sign a bunch of youngsters, a bit like you did with Bale, because if they don't work out, then you kind of wasted it. I think you want to long term bring in a youngster, but you also want someone to fill the output that he leaves. And I think Weghorst would do that, and also I reckon you get him on the cheap because just a bit about him. So Wolfsburg, they got in the Champions League this season for the first time in quite a while, but they lost their manager and they brought in Mark van Bommel, who's only managed PSV in his very short managerial career. So the likelihood of Wolfsburg being in quite a weak state by January is there. So I reckon if you can't prize Weghorst away right now, who will want a big move, you could get him before the end of this season.
I think
very interesting.
I think you'd want two players to complement each other, so I don't think you'd want a Weghorst and a Vlahovic. I think you want a Weghorst and a Isaac.
Maybe.
Because Isak's very rapid.
So Alex, in terms of sorry, Finn. Alex, in terms of the sort of transfer window, do you see Weghorst being a January signing, if anything, based on the mess you talked about?
I think the likelihood would be January, but again, I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility you could get him in right now. And the same with what Finn was just saying about Vlahovic. I don't think he's out of the realms because I think, like for anyone watching, when we think of the club he plays for, Fiorentina, we tend to think top six Italian club, really big club. And this season they finished 13th. Last season they just escaped relegation. Same with the season before. Then if Vlahovic has aspirations of playing any sort of top level football, then he'll be desperate to move, and Fiorentina could net a massive profit on him right now.
Very interesting stuff. Thank you for clearing up on that, Alex. And who knows what striker we're going to be getting in the near future if Kane does go, but it's certainly an interesting one. Let me have a look now in terms of the comments. So, Mr. J again, he thinks Lloris, Tomiyasu, Laporte, Romero, Reguilon, Skip, Højbjerg, and Dombele, Son, Vlahovic, Isaac, and Hill. Not a bad starting 11 if Kane leaves. Of course, we can speculate in terms of the lineup all we want, but we won't know more until, obviously, I think we cross that bridge when Kane leaves, of course, if and when Kane leaves. Now, going to move on to Cody. Matt, welcome in, Cody. Thank you for your comment. 6 people on the panel today. How many were taken aback by Kane's actions today? We were just talking about it, actually, Cody, and a lot of us are actually disappointed, but me personally speaking, I'm sort of not surprised about what's happened today. I could see it coming, especially with the rumours before the Euros, in terms of, you know, Kane obviously making it very public he wanted to leave. Has he ruined his credibility at Spurs? For me, no. For a lot of people, yes. It's disheartening, of course, and it, you know, it hits home a lot. But for me, you know, we've got to be realistic. If Levy, and we don't know what's going on behind the scenes with Levy and, you know, all the negotiations. If Levy's been very stubborn and saying, you know, he doesn't want to leave, we don't want that repeat of Eriksen. We do not want a half-hearted Harry Kane next year. I think we've got to respect what he wants. We've got to respect, you know, where he wants to go, what he wants to achieve. So for me, I'm not disgusted. I'm not disgusted with Harry Kane at all. I think it's very, very expected this kind of thing to happen. And maybe, like Michael was saying earlier, the professionalism of it isn't ideal. But, you know, at the end of the day, Harry Kane wants to leave. Harry Kane wants to leave. That's very clear. We'll go round again just so in terms of who's disheartened and who's not. Who's fuming with Kane and who's not. We go with Alessia and Jin to start with on that one.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, you go first.
I saw a comment earlier on the YouTube. It was saying something about. I'll see if I can find it. I don't know if I can put it on. But yeah, someone said if you want to, no, it's a bit higher. It's Andreas. You can see Andreas, the one above. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I saw this comment. I said, yeah, if he wants to leave, let him and keep positive vibes in the team. That's a good comment. And I think, yeah, you don't want someone to have negativity in the team, especially a team like Spurs, where one negative thing can let the whole team down. And you saw that, like, when we lost 7-2 against Bayern Munich. That was after we got knocked out of the Carabao Cup against, I forgot who it was against, but yeah.
Colchester.
Yeah, Colchester, yeah. So yeah, that just knocked us back, and you can agree with this comment.
Absolutely.
Keep vibes and let him leave.
And even more related to players, you look at, like, you know, sort of, you know, Alderweireld and the Mourinho bust up last year, and Alderweireld being on the bench, our performances went so downhill at that point. And like you're saying, one bad thing at Spurs happens, and you know, all hell breaks loose. Yeah, you know, results go wrong. Players start throwing their dummies out about, you know, wages and all this kind of thing. Just, it happens, unfortunately. We've got Danny in the chat now. Danny, welcome on in, mate. Pleasure to see you here. Mr. J, but I must say, if Kane leaves, I trust Paratici, but I'm guessing he means he doesn't trust Levy. And I'm sure that's the same for a lot of people. Paratici's come in, you know, he's been absolutely fantastic with the recruitment so far. A lot of praise on social media for him. I guess time will tell in terms of realistically how well he's going to do for Spurs. But no, you know, you're spot on. Levy is a man that a lot of people aren't trusting. We've also got Bob in here. Bob, welcome on in, mate. Make sure you check out Bob Spurs' YouTube channel. Fantastic channel. Would love to get you on at some point, Bob. But in terms of his comment, he says what Kane did today was wrong. How we've got here is because of the lack of ambition and intent by Levy and Enoch. We should be able to separate both issues. And that's a whole, you know, that's a talking point in itself, Bob. Spot on. You know, Kane probably does know he's done wrong, and it's upset a lot of people. But this reflects the board. This reflects what's happening above the whole Kane situation. And clearly, like I say, Levy's digging his heels in the ground. He's not letting this go over the line. He's not letting, you know, Man City play ball. They've clearly made an official bid of £100 million. Negotiations, they're clearly wanting to up the bid, and you know, Levy and Enoch aren't having this. And unfortunately, it goes back even further than that in terms of the ambition of the club. If we invested when we should have invested back in 2017, when we challenged for the league, when we had that incredible team, and even when we were at the Champions League, when we had that incredible team and we lost against Liverpool, if we invested then, who knows where we'd be now? Kane could be absolutely flying, no question of being the best striker in the world. And Tottenham would be. Not sure why they're not. There we go. Ooh. Right. I get you have to. Any team that wants him has to pay the asking price, period, in the league last season. Absolutely spot on. And this is what we you're saying about the price of we shouldn't just accept the portal, whatever it may be. We should get toys out of the Prem essentially. We still need to make sure we get the right price, cheaper price, because he's unhappy. At the end of the day, we've got the asset. We should be completely on that. I completely agree with you. I'm going to go over to Alex, Euro expert, of course. What do you make of Kane? Would you, if you were in Tottenham's board situation, in their position, would you let Harry Kane go based on his discontent to be at the club, or would you make sure you get that right asking price?
I'd make sure I get the right asking price, but I think you sell him. I do think if a bid comes in that's right, that's 140, I think you absolutely bite their hand off. Because let's be realistic, City are buying him. It's kind of more of a short-term move. You've got the best out of Kane. He's still got some very, 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 very good years left, and that might help City win a Champions League. But you could do so much more with that money. And I think Spurs fans will probably have flashbacks to the Bale money, to Soldado. But I think if Paratici and the board are smart, they can long-term use this money extremely well. I mean, look at Chelsea. I think there was a report before the Koundé rumours and things that they still haven't actually spent all of the Eden Hazard money. I don't know how all that adds up, but that's the report from it. So there is a lot you can do with that amount of money long-term. And Tottenham could. I mean, Finn was saying about you can't replace Harry Kane, but you can definitely replace his output. And in fact, you could get even more output out of that if you were to use that Kane money and sign some very, very top players. I mean, we've talked about, you could get Vlahovic in, you could get, you could get a better right back in as well. I think there's a lot you can be done. And even if you want to do a swap deal with City, they need to get rid of players, they need to get rid of wages. Getting a Bernardo Silva in isn't the worst. I know a comment earlier said about not getting Gabriel Jesus in, but I don't think that's the worst thing in the world either. And even if you get one of those players in, you're still going to have a big chunk left in terms of wages and money. So I think there's so much you can do. I just think not selling him now might be a mistake in some ways, because look at Dortmund and Sancho. They could have got a lot more money for him last season if they had just lowered the asking price a tiny bit from 120 to 110 million. I think you don't want Kane to bomb this year, especially if this discontent does bubble over and he doesn't play or he has hissy fits, and then by the time of next season, everyone knows that Kane wants out and Tottenham have no use in him, so all of a sudden the value shrinks. You probably want to get him done now, and hopefully Levy's being smart and not bitter about what Harry Kane's doing.
Spot on, yeah, absolutely. We don't want a bad ending to all this. Let's be honest, guys. The training situation today was one thing, and I don't think he's going to turn up for training tomorrow. I really don't. We can only see there's going to be more and more rumors. This is the start of the roller coaster, guys. But I think it's going to be expected that this is going to have a little bit of a nasty ending, and I really hope the fans don't then forget what Harry Kane did for this club. I really do hope that he's a legend, no matter what. He's a legend. Yes, he didn't win anything at the club. That will always be the banter stuff with the other teams, but let's be honest, Harry Kane is in our top 3 or 5 best players in the last 20, 30 years. There is no argument to that. So if he does push it, what he wants and gets his way, we should really remember, what he's done. And also, I know some comments won't agree, but we should respect Harry Kane for what he's done. Just because he's not turned up to training today. Yes, he maybe shouldn't have done that. Yes, he may have gone about it the complete wrong way. But let's be honest, guys. Let's think about how much of a club legend Harry Kane is for a minute. Danny also says it's like Villa. They want to keep Grealish and they have valued him over £100 million, but he's only worth 75 max. But that's what Villa value him at. So 150 million for Kane, or they can F off. Spot on, Danny. Yeah. So obviously, like you're saying, you think he's worth 75 million, but to Villa, he's worth more. That makes sense. You could argue Kane's worth 120 million, but to us, he's worth 150 million, even 170, because he's so key to us. When you take out Harry Kane in that team, it is a very different team. It is a very, very different team. I mean, we saw it when he was injured for that brief spell this year. I mean, we looked absolutely pony. I'm not going to lie. I think everyone will agree on that one. Romero looking done. Demiral 1-year loan, 35 million buyout for Atlanta. Can't say if this is breaking news. I've seen that one yet, but
James just come out. It came out 30 minutes ago. I don't know.
Ah, look at that. We got some breaking news. Go on, Alessio. Hit us up. Go on.
Yeah, Fabrizio just confirmed that Atlanta are progressing with negotiations with the Morale from Juventus as a replacement. So, as Mr. J said, that it's going to be a loan with an option to buy, but they haven't said exactly what the price is. So yeah, it's looking closer. That means Atlanta getting the Morale means that Romero is going to be getting closer. So we've got some breaking news on the stream today.
Well, there's a positive to sort of start to end on, but yeah, it looks like Romero is a done enough deal. And our Euro expert Alex, just to confirm, should we be absolutely buzzing for those that weren't in the stream earlier? Alex, should we be absolutely buzzing with Romero? Should we be excited for our defence? And will we actually have a good defence and not Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez this year?
Yeah, you'll have a good defence. I think the short description of Romero is going to upgrade your defence. It's very good long term. It's very, very good in the short term. And as I said, he's extremely fun to watch. I think he's going to cause a lot of arguments with other fans because they're all going to say, "Oh, he fouled him. He fouled that." The Premier League's very physical, and the refs are quite lenient. So you're going to love Romero even more because he's going to barge everyone off the ball and into the stands. So definitely look forward to Christian Romero.
Brilliant stuff. And like we said earlier, we can expect a few yellow cards from Romero, which will keep things interesting, I'm sure. But it's all kicking off in Italy today. You know, you've got Romero going through, hopefully, you know, completely confirmed tomorrow or whatever. You've got Chiellini also signing a 2-year deal with Juventus extension. What else have you got in Italy today? It's all kicking off in Italy today. And like we said, Demiral going to Atalanta to replace Romero. You know, it's all kicking off. What was that, sorry?
He's not going to America. Jesus.
Atalanta. If we sell Kane only for money, we need strikers and one more centre-back. Skriniar. I guess the Skriniar rumours will then start again. If we got the money for Kane, Skriniar, the asking prices we know is around 60, 70 million pounds. And we've got the funds for it. But do we, guys, this opens up a new debate. Do we go for Skriniar if we sell Kane for 140 million pounds? Do we spend half that money on Skriniar?
No.
No, we need it on a striker.
Yeah, we need to
Absolutely.
upgrade the attack still.
You need a right back before a centre back.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like Romero's done. So Romero and a world-class striker. But is this striker going to be anything near Kane? Probably not. Let's be honest.
No one's anything near Kane. No one is. Like Finn said earlier, irreplaceable.
Yeah,
but
you need
like
a good couple of attackers.
Distribute the money to other positions, and you know you can get near enough or maybe more output than we had before. So you know if we distribute it well, not like how we did with when we signed Lamela, Soldado, and all of that, Capu, whatever, Stambouli, I don't know. You know if we spend it well, then there's a lot of hope.
There will be direct comparisons made of Aston Villa if both Kane and Grealish go, because Villa have brought in both Buendia and Leon Bailey to replace Grealish before he even left. So depending on how Spurs do, this summer may be a start of comparison between both clubs over the next couple of years.
They've done very well there.
Absolutely. So overall, you know, Romero is obviously a positive of this, and it's a very up and down day, really. You know, Romero potentially going through. It looks like confirmed by Fabrizio, but it's all going to kick off again tomorrow. You know, training doesn't stop in the week. We're going to hear more about this Kane thing tomorrow. And do you think it's how are people going to react on social media tomorrow if Kane doesn't turn up again? Do you think he's going to start getting nasty? Because this is what I'm worried about. I don't want Kane to ruin his reputation. To some people, this is betrayal to some people. But the thing is, I still respect Eriksen. You know,
like they were coming for his head. There were death threats and everything for Eriksen. Like it's going to happen. It's inevitably going to happen for Kane if that does happen. But what can you do? I guess.
I think it's worse because it's an English club. Like comparing it to Van Persie, like that of Arsenal, because he went to Man United, that was the nail in the coffin. So I think if Kane was buying for a move to Real Madrid, Barcelona, PSG, I think he'd still be like quite annoyed, but not as annoyed because you're not going to have to see him every week in a like different coloured shirt. But going to City, I think it will inevitably make people's blood boil.
It's going to be an English club.
It has to be. He's determined to keep his record in the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think it's only going to be Man City. I can't see it. You know, Man City are clearly the ones that want to make this happen. So I don't think anyone else has the money at this point either. Really, I mean,
no one in the Premier League for sure.
I don't want to see Romero play with Dyer. I don't think anyone wants to see anyone play with Dyer. Unfortunately, I saw earlier. It was either today or yesterday, and it was like Eric Dyer signed for Spurs 7 years ago today, and all the comments were just like, and 7 years on, he needs to leave, and on 7 years on, he shouldn't be here anymore. And it is sad to see, of course, but realistically, based on his performances last year, I remember he started the season really well though. That's what frustrated me so much about Eric Dyer, because he's not a world beater, he's not world class, but he started the season so solidly. I mean, obviously all of Tottenham did, but I was just so disappointed to see Eric Dyer, and he's ruining his reputation at Tottenham. Most of the fan base absolutely despise him being in a Tottenham shirt.
It's like he's solid. He's a solid player, but occasionally, every now and then, every here and there in game time, he just has that error in him.
There's an error in him every game. There's an error in him every game, at least one. That's the problem.
And if it's not him, it's GPS Sanchez, as Irish Hotspur calls him. So,
and if it's not him, it's Aurier.
Absolutely, yeah. So we need to remove these, faculties in this lineup.
Not bad player, but he's just got an error in him, like Michael was saying. That's what I'm trying to couldn't get my words out. That's the one.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Bob Spur, till they're holding the shirt, being let down too many times till I see the player holding the shirt, hopefully smiling. So yeah, of course, we were not confirming that Romero's a done deal yet. It's obviously looking very positive, but to me again, guys, like think of it on the wider picture. If Romero's going through, right, and we've already signed Hill for 30 million, we got rid of Lamela, who is not a valuable asset, but there's a lot of outgoings. There's a lot of ingoings in terms of Hill and Romero. If it goes through, that's like £85 million. Where's this come from? To me, it just added. It adds to the fact that Kane is probably gone. But yeah, obviously time will tell on that one. I want to see. So we've read that one. Yes, will be a shitstorm if Kane tomorrow doesn't come to training. And what do you think about his brother Agent? I haven't really got an opinion on his brother.
His brother, man. Don't get me started on him.
Oh, we're going to get you started on Alessia. You just talked up now. Here we go. This is your answer, Mr. J.
Romero's brother. Kane's brother. I think he's been getting in Kane's head since the big. Well, apparently it was in a wedding where he was talking to Levy or someone, and someone overheard it. That's what was reported, and someone overheard that something about Kane leaving or something. But then other things I've been reading is that Kane's brother is stirring it up by giving media information about Kane, which is making it even worse. And I feel like his brother has an influence in Kane's departure. Well, potential departure. But I think I don't know. I just don't know about his brother. I think his brother's had something to do with it, basically.
It's a very interesting one. We're going to move on. We're going to move on. With Kane going, I want to see Ings and Vlahovic. Vlahovic, I'm probably even saying his name wrong, to be honest. Finn will correct me. He spelled it wrong, so he's put me off. But anyway, he seems to be a very popular choice. Now, we've got obviously Alex here still. In terms of like possible replacements for Kane, let's for argument's sake say it's going through. Who do you think that Tottenham should immediately pounce on, Alex?
Such a good question. Honestly, it might be laughed at, but Danny Ings is genuinely not the worst thing. When he's fit, he will get you Premier League goals, and he's just a stopgap who is, like I said in the Weghorst thing, I think whatever replacement you get in, you want a long-term option, like a Vlahovic or an Isaac, someone who can hold down that role, and someone else who will fill that fill those numbers in, because you've got to think you've got some really good players in the Spurs team. You've got players like Undembele, you've got Lo Celso, you've got Højbjerg, you've got Heung-min Son, you've got Brian Hill now. You've got players who, if they don't feel the team is progressing at a level they want, then they will leave, hence Kane. So you want someone to keep that output up and keep Tottenham around the top six, and top six, they're already around there, but keep them around the top four, so they know they're working towards Champions League football. Because the last thing you want is to not sign a proper replacement, Nuno to be sacked before the end of the season, and all of these superstars sitting here thinking, my God, Tottenham's going down the pan, we need to get out.
Absolutely, and you don't want that domino effect whatsoever. Like that really, you do not want that domino effect at all, because when one player leaves, others will just want to follow suit. And if another player gets a new contract, other players will be knocking on that door wanting a contract. That's just the nature of football these days. Player power, we know about it. Today is another example of player power. Harry Kane.
There's no reason why Kim and Son can't play up top, really. I'm just throwing it out.
Of course, yeah, of course. But in terms of Heung-min Son playing up front, what happens when Heung-min Son gets injured or whatever, Finn?
There you go. There's your problem.
There's your problem. Dane Scarlett's, Dane Scarlett cannot be our first team striker. Not yet anyway. I think he will be in the future, but you can't put it. Yeah, honestly, we can't start playing wingers up front. We gotta have a replacement for Kane at the end of the day. Yeah. But Mr. J says Winks, Sissoko, Aurier, Dias, Sanchez all must go. Bergwijn deserves a chance under Nuno. I think most will agree with you on that one. I think the only debatable one there, and I've seen also sources today about Sissoko potentially being not confirmed going, but in talks with going elsewhere. But the only debatable one for people might be Davinson Sanchez, just throwing it out there. But most of them, Winks, Sissoko. And again, Aurier's got a mistake in him, but we've seen great signs. He's got great, it's all debatable, isn't it? Let's be honest. Holly's in the chat. Welcome in, Holly. What a day exactly. Absolutely unbelievable. But, the Tottenham Hotspur nightmare goes on. We've got Marcelino. Welcome on in, Marcelino. If Kane leaves, maybe we should go for Martinez. Exactly that. He's clearly, Inter Milan have clearly said they'll accept bids for him if the right bid comes in. And they need to sell players. They've already sold Hakimi to PSG. So we know that they're on an offload session based on that. So look, not playing Son up top. He's a winger. He stays a winger. We do this all the time. People playing their right positions. Exactly what I was saying, Holly. I think it would be controversial to just replace Kane with Son up front. That's a bit of a cop-out. That would be Levy accepting the money and not really investing again. Potentially, Son could work up front in some games, but he shouldn't be just a direct replacement for Kane for sure. In the no, Graham Roberts for Sissoko. Bloody hell. I have no comment on that one. Silver Surfer, again, we could have our new Magnificent Seven. Oh, don't even start on me. As long as it's not Chadley, Capu. Who was there? Who else did we have? Soldado.
Lamella.
Lamella.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It seems like good timing, because isn't the last one of the seven Lamella gone now?
Lamella, he's gone, yeah.
So essentially we can just have this 8-year cycle of 7 years of absolute garbage players going through that we've only just, recycled out. It's 2013 to 2021, right? Lamella's the last one. Let's get 7 more absolute frauds. No, that's not right, because Eriksen wasn't a fraud, but he was pretty much the only one that wasn't a full-on fraud.
You guys all seem quite down, so I will just say, like, after the stream finishes, people watching it, you guys, I do recommend Googling CK66, which is Charlie Kane's player management company. It's now got 2-star review on Google, which is funny. The website, I've just got on the website where you guys are chatting. It does feel like it was designed by a 10-year-old. And it's painting this broad player management, sports management company, and it's just Harry Kane. Like there's nothing else. And I don't know if he's vying for a job in player agency, but especially after the last few months, I don't think he's going to get that job.
I follow the agency on Instagram. They post pictures of Kane doing his various photo shoots for sponsors and that, and not much else. Like you say, the only player they know for managing, or Charlie Kane is known for managing, is his brother. Harry.
They might as well. It might as well not be good Charlie Kane management. You might as well just call it I manage Harry Kane. That is literally.
No, but it might as well,
Genuinely,
it might as well
exactly it.
just be I am Harry Kane's PR. There is nothing else. It's not a player
Slash
management. Yeah.
And he's not very popular, is he? Let's be honest. That's one positive to take. Lamella's finally gone. Oh God! Don't
James
even
not
get
happy.
started.
Do you want to say something about?
Oh,
Lamella?
this will be an interesting
Oh, I
debate.
love
Oh,
Lamella.
for sentimental right, let's get this straight. Sentimental reasons, I'm a bit sad Lamella's gone. However, it was far long ago when he should have gone. Like, his goals to games weren't acceptable. The only thing I loved about him was the fact he put 100% into the shirt. He didn't ever like slack in games. He loved going in for a tackle. He was never afraid in a derby. It was entertaining to watch in a derby. You know, you think about that last Tottenham Arsenal game, getting a red card and scoring the goal of the season. Like, that is Lamella to a T. But we got Lamella's number one super fan here, the guy in the left, Jin. Talk us through why Lamella going, just to stir a few comments in the chat. It was necessarily a bad move.
I don't think him going was a bad move, but I think if he didn't get injured as much, every time he played, you played for the badge. Like, you put passion in. He got so many yellow cards. Like you compare him to Romero, about him being aggressive and stuff as well. Maybe that's a good thing, Romero coming in and getting that aggressiveness back to the team. But I think he was due to leave, but he did play well. But I think it was his time to go. He was the last few years. I think he should have gone a few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, well overdue, like you said, but we will miss his passion, certainly. Pradai, who will be an ideal replacement for Harry Kane? We've been discussing it for a lot of the stream, but in terms of the names that have been thrown out there, we've got Martinez, we've had Weghorst, we've got Ings, we've got Isaac, we've had all sorts of names thrown out there. Sorry, Vin Vlahovic, sorry, absolutely. So yeah, who knows what's going to happen with that? I guess we will cross that bridge in another video when it comes to it. I'm still not convinced to sell Kane for money only. If we got Laporte, we would only have to worry about the attackers. But the thing is, if we got Laporte, yes, of course he's a world-class centre back, but it's got to be a considerable fee as well. We need money to be able to spend on that striker. We need money to be able to spend on a new centre mid, a new right back. That has to be done. Silver Surface, is Tomiyasu a centre back or a right back? You're an expert. It's over to you again. I know we've already discussed this, but just for the sake of the late joiners, talk us through it again.
Yeah, so Silver Surfer, answer your question. Tomiyasu is a weird one in the sense that he can genuinely play across the back four, right back, centre back, or left back. He is more bow-footed than most players in Europe, and he has experience playing left back, right back, and centre back for his team. If he comes into Tottenham, he'll be someone to fill any gap that the team needs, and he's competent enough for the ball, so he can do it to a high standard.
Great stuff. Fantastic. Thanks, Alex, for that. We've also got Holly again. Rabona King, he did put 100% in, but also costed by full on kidnapping people. And kept the medical staff in a job. Brilliant. Fantastic. Not wrong. I'm sure those medical staff will now lose their job, especially if Kane goes as well. What else have we got here? Marcus, welcome in. Marcus Aurelius. I really don't care if Kane leaves as well, as long as we pull Vlahovic, Sabitzer, and Aouar. What happened to the that links with Aouar? Because I thought he was going to Arsenal.
He was linked with Arsenal. That died down. Then he was linked with Spurs, and that died down.
Brilliant. So hopefully that one comes back in the. I don't actually know how good he is, and I know he's a great player, but in the French league, like,
he's very good. He's very good. Yeah. If Arsenal get Maddison in over Aouar, that's the time for someone else to capitalise. There's so many more good reasons to go for Aouar. Younger than Maddison, creating more big chances. He was one of the top creators in Liga last season, despite falling out of the coach and not playing many minutes. Yeah, and he'll be cheaper as well. He's at £25 million. That's the price that Lyon can charge at maximum. So wow. I don't think Spurs are in for him, quite sadly. But whoever does get him, very good player.
It sounds like 25 million in this day and age for such a.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's a good deal. someone's got to go for that, surely. Right, Marcelino, if we get Romero, hopefully tomorrow we're going to need someone to pair him with. Surely it can't be Dyer. Who do you guys think will start? He's literally, another comment's just got in exactly what I was going to say. Who do you want Spurs to move on from centre backs after we wrap up Romero? Like, who do you think is going to play alongside Romero, guys?
Rodon to start.
Yeah, Rodon.
If we don't sign anyone else for the time being.
Right, Rodon seems to be the popular choice. Don't know how many people in the chat agree with that, but certainly one to discuss. Charlie Kane turned to Raiola. Yeah, I think that one's long off. I don't think that one's going to be a thing, unfortunately. But no, guys.
The next player on Charlie Kane's books will be his son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on his own son.
Damsgaard or our lads, excluding Price. You're an expert. I think that should be his last question.
Yeah, I'll have to go in a second. Damsgaard our. Damsgaard had a very good Euros, but the age-old adage, don't buy a player just because he did well in the Euros. Usually can be the biggest mistake you can make. All of Damsgaard does look very good, but our far more proven. I mean, you just need to go back and watch his UCL highlights from 1920, only a year ago. Such a talented player. But yeah, that I'll have to go now. Thank you very much for having me on, guys.
Alex, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us for that over an hour. And guys, if you're interested in any other like player analysis, like Romero, and other deals that are going through, Alex makes great content over on his YouTube channel. Make sure you follow him on his social medias as well. We'll leave the links in the description after this live stream finishes. But simply just type in Euro Expert on YouTube, right, Alex? And you will
that's the one.
Right at the top. So guys, go and check him out. Does in-depth analysis, videos, where he's literally interacting and showing you where Romero will play, where he'll stretch out onto in the formation. So, Alex, thanks once again, mate. Enjoy your evening. I'm sure we'll get you on once again at some point.
Absolutely, you guys too. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate. See you later. Cheers.
Thank you very much.
So a couple more questions and then we're gonna wrap it up, guys. So if you have got any more questions, put them in the chat now and we will be sure to answer them before the end of the live stream. But we are heading to an end now, so if you do have any questions, make sure you ask us now and we will try and cover them. So we've got Marcus. I think a back five suits our wing back style. So Rodon, Romero, Tomiyasu is long for our rivals. Potentially something that five at the back, especially with Nuno, could happen. You had a chance to choose an option. Which would it be and why? A, sell Kane for 150 million, rebuild the club with the cash, or B, keep Kane as he will play a key role this coming season? I think for me, I would pick A, just based on the fact he clearly doesn't want to be at the club. There's no point forcing him. We saw what happened with Eriksen when he kept the player and he doesn't want to be there. They don't put in 100%. And although Kane's a complete professional, I still doesn't sit right with me just letting him stay based on trying to, improve our results. I think we have to think about the future. Kane is going to go at some point. The quicker we can rebuild this team now, the better for me. I'll hand over to someone else for their opinion, but that's how I'm feeling.
I was going to say one thing to keep in mind is that when we used the Bale money, which we didn't use too wisely at the time, we didn't have Paratici. Paratici going out and shopping is a bit more promising than having Levy or someone else do it with that amount of money.
Spot on, yeah. Exactly. Hopefully the fee is used sensibly this time, and I think you're spot on there, Michael. I think we have Paratici to guide us through that. Jeremy Doku looking very good. 100% I would agree that he looked good in the Euros. Again, like Alex said, we shouldn't judge players on the Euros, but I saw him beforehand. Very, very good young Belgian player.
He was playing in the Belgian league, wasn't he? And he got a move to where did he get moved to?
He's currently exactly that. I think he's currently playing one of the French. I believe it's either Rennes or
Rennes.
Is it Rennes? Yeah, it is Rennes. So yeah, very good player. One to look at, and potentially won't be massive fee. Would you rather start Tomiyasu or Rodon?
You can play both.
Tomiyasu on the right.
Rodon
exactly. Especially if we play five at the back, right? We could have so we could have Reguilon, Romero, Rodon, Tomiyasu, and potentially a right wing back.
I think the two you know, I think they're two different players who are, they're not. I think you rode them for the, you know, the pure strength he's got, and Tomiyasu, you know, the versatility.
Yep.
You know, he can slot in anywhere, and yeah, I think they complement each other well.
Absolutely, yeah. Paz gut feeling, guys. Will Kane stay? Straight away, I'm going to answer that, Paz. I'm going to say I think Kane's gone. I think the signs today show very much his intentions. He wants to push for a deal to Manchester City. I think he's gone in the next couple of weeks, and I think there will be a bit of a roller coaster to see when he goes. Probably won't turn up for the training tomorrow. I'm sure we're going to get even more drama to report on. So make sure you stay up to date with the revelations. You know where to go for that, guys. And final comment, and then we're going to wrap things up. Marcus, I also thought Kane was the complete professional, but now he's not turning up for training at his boyhood club. Again, it's a debatable one. I don't think his respect should be lowered just because, you know, of what he's done today. To many people, it's not acceptable. It's not the right thing to do. But again, guys, we've got to understand we don't know what's going on behind those scenes. Levy could be digging his heels in the ground, and literally this gentleman agreement, we don't know what's actually been agreed. You know, he might have gone completely against his word and not allowed any offers, or not. You know, he's not listening to the offers, is he? Clearly. So unfortunately, it's going to turn like the Eriksen situation, where player power turns into a move going through eventually. So I don't think we should drag this out anymore. I think we should get rid of Kane. In terms of course, I want to keep Kane, but he clearly doesn't want to be here, right? And I don't want a half-hearted Kane in the team. Yeah. That's what I don't want. We should respect his decision. We should respect his ambitions. You know, he's given us 5 to 6 years of absolutely amazing football, absolutely amazing goal-scoring records. Everyone said in 2016, you know, he was going to be a one-season wonder. Well, he wasn't, was he? You know, he's been absolutely phenomenal. Is it 2 golden boots in the Premier League? You know, phenomenal stuff, really. World Cup golden boot. Exactly that. You know, top goal scorer in the Premier League last year and top assist maker. You know, it's unbelievable. We can't forget what he's done for this club. And he's given us really exciting times, and one certainly for any new Spurs fan to be proud of, for sure. So, yeah, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure today. Obviously, we've got StreamYard up and running, as you can see. You know, fantastic that we can, you know, talk more in depth about Spurs-related issues, and we're going to be doing more of these. So make sure you subscribe on our YouTube channel, or give us a like on Facebook, whichever one you're watching on right now. Share with your friends, let them know. And we're obviously open to guests and having people come and analyse players and analyse performances. So if you're interested in coming on the podcast, guys, just give us a shout. We're very interested in, you know, getting lots of new people on here. We just love having a chat about Spurs, as do most people watching. So make sure to check us out in the descriptions and follow us on all socials. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, which is our main one, of course. Nearly on the push to 60K over there. Which is amazing stuff. And obviously we're on TikTok as well now, with some player highlights and some match highlights and other content on there for different reasons. So guys, absolute pleasure. Thank you all for your comments, and thank you all for staying tuned and you know, being great guests and great viewers. So yeah, we'll see you around, guys. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.
Thank you, guys.
See you later.
Thanks for the support.
Yeah.